Welcome back, guys, to another Lost Codex deep dive analysis. My name is Jesse, and I'm joined by a very, very special guest today. A new face that you haven't seen before, Ishura. Hello, Ishura. How are you today?
I'm excited.
Excited is an understatement. For those who don't know who you are, Ishura, give us a very brief description of who you are.
I am Ashura, and I love Queen Ajara.
And that's all there is to it. 100%. Easily Ajara's #1 fan, and I knew when I was going to do an Ajara 8.2 analysis, cinematic, something, that there was only one person I could have brought on. And so when I asked Ashura if she would, it was she eagerly jumped at the opportunity. So we're going to watch a cinematic today. I'm going to see our reactions, and then we're going to go off screen, do some note taking, and then we're going to come back and she's just going to talk the whole time. And I'm going to sit here and listen to everything that I missed about the Highborn and Ashara stuff. Ishura, are you ready?
Yes.
It all comes down to this right here. It all comes down to this. All right. Well, without further ado, we're going to watch a cinematic, and we'll be back right after. So we are going to get it up on screen here. Ishura, we'll do a countdown. 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, that knife.
Keep on them! We cannot let them escape!
Ooh.
My queen, they have arrived.
Wonderful. Set the tide stone, won't you? Feeling anxious, are we? How frustrating it must be for you. Still locked away. So powerless. For now, do not worry. We've both waited so long. But at last, you're about to see what I do best. Welcome to Nazjatar. I've been waiting for you.
I can hear you breathing in my ear in excitement. Okay, a lot happened there. I think Ashura needs a moment to compose herself, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna break everything down, because there's so much that happened here, so much. I gotta watch it 30 more times. We'll be back in just a second, guys. Give us one moment. We are back, guys, and oh my god, there is so much to talk about here. We're gonna dive right into it. We're gonna break it down as we go through, and some of the things that we point out might seem obvious. There's always symbolism for everything. The cinematics team loves their symbolism. So we're gonna break through here, and as we get to every Ajara part, Ashura is gonna absolutely just go crazy and break it down. So we're gonna start off right away with our buddy Nathanos and Lorthamar here. Now, I kind of like how Nathanos is looming. Like, it's just showing him looming at the front of the ship. And Ishura actually pointed this out before the camera pans around fully, his stupid vampire collar's in the way, but he's looking down at the dagger very, very casually, and then he looks up as they're continuing on, almost like it's a compass, which is definitely not foreboding in any sort of way at all. We know that Xalatath is empty after the events of the raid. The Horde brings the dagger to Sylvanas. She tells Nathanos to take the dagger and follow it. Trust her and trust the dagger. And Lorthamar's there. Our buddy Lorthamar, full glory, full look at that beautiful HD model in the background there. And right away we see just what's going on with how many Alliance ships are actually chasing the Horde. It is vastly outnumbered.
We cannot let them escape.
There's a cool kind of even split between the Zandalar ships and the Undead ships, and then the Kultiran ships, which I think is a good way of showing how these allied races have been fully integrated into their respective factions.
It definitely interesting that they didn't show any like regular Horde ships, but like the regular like typical Horde destroyers that we've seen for the last couple expansions. But we do know that this is Nathanos' mission. This is Sylvanas has told him to trust the dagger and trust her. So it makes sense that there's Forsaken ships, and of course, I believe that I don't know if it's actually made it to live, but Sylvanas has a line of dialogue where she says, "Take what remains of our fleet," and if this is what remains of the fleet, this is pretty telling as to how much the Horde really did lose in the Battle for Dazar'alor. That was a decisive Alliance victory, aside from, losing our boy Mekatork. Like, the Zandalari were left crippled, and I know that there's suggestion that the Zandalari is rebuilding their fleets as we speak, but, like, this shows, look how vastly outnumbered they are right here. And there's an interesting piece of dialogue. Again, I don't know if it made it in, don't know if it was data mined, but Lorthamar is here. But this is Nathanos' mission. We'll get to this after. There's an interesting part that I want to focus in on. But as you said, Ashura, there's a neat balance between the Kultira ships and the Alliance ships and the Zandalari and the Forsaken. Now, you said, I haven't actually done it on the PTR, but you said Jaina is in this fleet, correct?
Yeah, she's in the beginning quest. So if you're in Nazjatar right now, you've seen her. But she's probably on a Kultiran ship, I would expect.
Probably her dad's boat. And then we have the transition down, and this is we have Gen saying keep on them, we cannot let them escape, and I know someone's going to point it out. Someone's going to say like Gen's still angry, and I mean rightfully so.
Keep on them. We cannot let them escape.
This is very much so like Gen versus Sylvanas angst happening, because you don't see Jaina, you don't see Thalyssera, you don't see any of these accompanying people except for Lorthamar, but you just see Gen at the head of the Alliance fleet chasing Nathanos.
Like, and it's interesting because you said Gen versus Sylvanas angst, and she's not even there, and yet he's still like, this is still so personal to him. And anyone who says he needs to get over it, God, you need to put yourselves in that old wolf's shoes. And it's interesting because, as you said, and we'll again get to this later, there's a duality with Nathanos and Lorthamar, but Gen, aside from Nameless Soldier 24 beside him, it's only Gen. It's just Gen and Nathanos and Lorthamar. We're going to talk about the Horde ending of this cinematic later on, but there's an interest there. Let's cut to the transition here where we go birds and we dive in with the bubbles. And it goes pitch black for a split second. It's that eerie, spooky darkness. And actually, Ishura, you pointed out the perspective here as we're creeping towards the palace.
Yeah, so it comes from darkness, and I thought, what if this is N'Zoth's perspective? Like, he's just kind of like creeping in, like shadows, like sliding along, and he's there, I expect, before Ajar really acknowledges his presence. Like, he's seeing this because this is her plan, and I suppose also his plan, but he wants to make sure that it's going to plan.
It's interesting because you can assume someone as like ever present N'Zoth is always kind of listening or watching, but in the cinematic later on he makes that sort of approach obvious. So I did really like the idea that this slow zoom in is N'Zoth zooming in as well. My queen, they have arrived. Now, this lady's name is Jaressa, and we see her in the questing. Ishura tells me that she's the one guarding the Tidestone. But I'm just gonna back off here because the rest of this little bit is all up to Ishura. So I'm gonna let you break down the shot, starting with the mirror shot. Go crazy.
Okay. So, one of Ajara's titles is Vainglorious. I wouldn't say it's one of her more popular titles, but I just love that this opens up on her, like, admiring her own face in water. Not even a mirror, not even something solid, but just this kind of, like, shifting thing. And she, like, doesn't really even bother to turn around. Like, everything she says is slow, casual. It's deliberate. Like, she's taking her sweet time. She is not worried whatsoever.
It's so effortless, as you wrote here. Something that I thought was not funny, but just so perfect of Ajara is when she says here,
Set the Tidestone, won't you?
set the Tidestone, won't you? It's the most casual request that's also a demand ever. Like, Jaressa's not gonna refuse that, but she says it so... she just, like, lets the words kind of fly at her mouth as if it's not even a bother, but still, she's a queen, and it's a demand. Like, the Jaressa Naga Centaur lady just clatters away, and as you wrote here, Ashura, it's just so effortless because no one's gonna refuse your queen, and there's no demand, there's no like snappiness in her voice. It's gentle, and that sort of all right, yeah, like I want to listen to you, absolutely, 100%. I'm already doing the thing you want me to do.
Yeah, man, I love her.
I'm starting to see why you're so obsessed with her, and the perspective here changes instantly. We have her eyes, when it's the glowing orange, and it goes to red in that reflection shot right there. She's looking at herself, and she kind of looks down, like maybe to the, like she's like looking behind her, looking at the reflection, because she knows things are changing. She knows that there's a new guest appearance in the room. She turns to look at the shadow.
She is not afraid to lord it over him. Just when she's so powerless and pauses, just letting it sink in for a moment. And then, for now, because she's still on his side, it's not like she's plotting against him. But I love this moment because he comes in kind of like this bubbling shadow, which I think is, symbolic of his connection to the void. And if you go through Nazjatar, you might see some NPCs that are these shadowy, dark witnesses, but that's for Nazjatar. What I really like about this moment is he kind of coalesces into this tentacle and comes forward, which is an exact mirror of the Warbringer short, in that moment where she's like, no, I won't serve you, and his tentacles just come forward out of the city, and then they stop. Like, he can't quite touch her, but she says, no, I would rather die a queen than a slave. And the same thing happens here, because as his shadowy tentacle kind of comes forward, she makes this vague motion with her hand. Like, she's not quite reaching out to touch him. She's just making a grand display. And he recoils, kind of in the same manner.
Almost like a wounded puppy, almost. Like, it drops from her mere gesture. And I just said, like, the tone that she has, lording the power over him, it's the most that she can do